this meeting of the Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is May 18th, 2015. Let's start with the invocation by Pastor Andy Watts, Gateway Church of the Nazarene.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather here. I pray specifically for these councilmen and women and our mayor, that, Father, you would give them wisdom in their thoughts and grace in their words and courage in their actions that they take tonight. Father, I pray for our leaders each and every day. Father, specifically tonight, that they've asked me to come and pray for this meeting. Father, I pray that in whatever we do tonight and the actions that take place, Father, that we know that what we do is your will. Father, we thank you for the privilege that it is to live in this country and live in this city. And the leadership that it takes to keep this city great. We love you and praise you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Caligiuri.
Here.
Jimenez.
Here.
Moore. Here. Benzetton.
Yes.
Versteeg.
Here.
Walling.
Here.
Yates.
Here.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included in the current agenda. The community is encouraged to come speak before the mayor and city council, asked to keep statements brief. And brief is defined as no more than 3 minutes. Any questions to be asked of city staff or the council members of the mayor, we ask that those be asked away from the meeting so that way they can be properly researched and perhaps even answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and the city council only. Is there anyone who would care to speak at this time? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
R.D. Keep, 1410 Westfield Drive. Just kind of wanted to update the council and the mayor on the Oskaloosa Bark Park. The park is available for some limited use. We've had some problems with some gates and that issue is being taken care of, so the large dog area is closed off at this point, but the small dog area is available. Park benches have arrived. We are going to try to pick those up and start getting those put together with the idea of trying to get those installed yet this week. One thing I would like to mention, we've gone into this project with trying to be as green as we could. Just to give you an idea, each one of these park benches that we purchased was made out of 684 one-gallon milk jugs. So we've got 3,420 milk jugs that are going to be part of our park. Our display board that's going to provide information to the patrons of the park and others is here. We're hoping to have it also in place this week. Some things left to do. We've got some dirt work and concrete work in both park areas. We're just simply waiting for Stevens Concrete to be able to schedule that. The small dog area at the southwest corner of the park, we've got some elevation issues, and that they're going to bring in some dirt and get that leveled, and then they'll start laying concrete in that. So the topography out there has given us a few more issues than we anticipated. The two handicap parking stalls and signs, we are once we have obtained the signs, we're going to go ahead and place the signs. But then we're going to be waiting on concrete because we are going to concrete those two parking stalls. We think that will be better for people with mobility issues than using some other hard surface material. So we do want to do concrete in for those two things. Trash receptacles, we are purchasing some trash receptacles that we want to kind of match some of the other things that we're doing in our park, but also throughout Edmondson. So we're hoping to get those in and installed probably in the next couple weeks. In the meantime, we'll probably just have to put some trash barrels out there. The waste disposal system for the animals has been in place for about 2 weeks. We do have 2 more of those to place in there as well. We do want to plan a formal dedication sometime in June, but we really want to have the sidewalks and those things in place before we do that. So we do not have a date. We're probably about a month behind of where I really wanted to be due to weather and some of these issues. But having opened the park here about a week ago, it's probably been good for us to work through and get some of these issues taken care of. So,
Thank you, Artie. Is there anyone else who would care to speak tonight?
Blaine Voss, 2346 Patriot Avenue. I wanted to make comments on the Oskaloosa Farmers Market permit request for this year. Be on the agenda tonight. As RD said, I just want to update you a little bit. I've had a chance to visit with the businesses and the institutions that are going to be affected by this. Last year, Tuesday was on the square, Saturday was at Hy-Vee, or Musco, I should say. And we're coming back. We want to come back to the city square on both days. We want to kind of brand ourselves as the farmers market on the square. We got a grant from Madison County Community Foundation to do some of that work. But as part of that, we're wanting to change the location from the west side of the street there, South First, and use the top half in front of the courthouse. I talked with the county supervisors today, and they were concerned about parking. Midwest One was concerned about parking on Tuesdays and Saturdays because they consider that their main entrance on the south half. So we shifted our request to the north half, and that will affect Tuesday afternoon courthouse parking, but instead of being all on the west side, it'll be on both sides of the north half of that. So we really won't be taking up more parking. We'll be taking up a different set of parking, and so we hope that we can be good neighbors to everybody, and that we can, by putting the vehicles on the parking or in the parking stalls, we can put the tents in the middle and kind of make more of a festival atmosphere so that we can attract a greater crowd downtown, a little more safety, a little bit better atmosphere than the current activity where people just have to basically walk up and down the sidewalk in a checkout kind of mode. So we just like to be good neighbors with the different businesses, and that's what they've reflected to us. And we know parking is a concern, but we don't really feel like we'll take up more, and would like your recommendation on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the other part of the agenda. Item number 5 has to do with the consent agenda. These are all items that are considered routine in nature. We don't anticipate a lot of discussion on this. I would draw your attention to item K, though. That's the appointment of Linda Howard to the Historic Preservation Commission. Item M, where we have a resolution scheduling a public hearing for June 15th for considering levying a special assessment against private property, cleaning up a property on 913 South E. Item N, where there's a resolution scheduling a public hearing on vacation and sale of public alleys adjacent to the properties owned by Central Reformed Church at 815 2nd Avenue East. Item O, that's temporary street closures for the Friday After 5 events. And then item P, of course, Blaine mentioned, this is the closure of the street for the Oskaloosa Farmers Market. So we have a motion supporting the consent agenda. Okay. Any discussion?
I guess specific to the comments, did we hear anything back from the county supervisors about the parking?
Mayor and Council, I attended the supervisor meeting this morning and heard the exact same thing that Mr. Voss did. They were concerned about the parking, but I do believe he raises a good point about just it's a reconfiguration and it's not necessarily taking up more space. So they didn't take action on it. I don't know that it was necessarily an item that was agendized for action, but they just expressed concern about parking.
Are they just parking in the parking lot there like they normally do?
Close.
I mean, is there any reason why they can't actually be in the bandstand area? I mean,
Who, the farmer's market?
yeah.
Like, Mr. Voss could probably address that better than I could. I think that
Could you come to the microphone, please?
Yeah, we've talked about moving into the square. It's not really been promoted by the city or by farmers, either one. We would like to try that to see how it did work out. The concern for the vendors is just handling their produce one more time, and there is some reluctance there, but I think it would be, it'd be a neat venue myself.
You'd have my support, so I don't know if it's something you guys want to talk about down the road, or maybe it's something you can check it out, but I think that'd be nice.
Yeah,
That's something.
I think that'd be a real good discussion, and I would lead as president, I would lead the vendors towards that kind of discussion as it works out with the city. I don't know if there's insurance issues going in there. We do get insurance. We do pay for an insurance policy as part of our permit agreement, but other than that, I don't know the details.
Other comments, questions? Okay, thank you, Blaine.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Van Zetten,
Yes.
Versteeg.
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Into the regular agenda here, item 6A. This is a public hearing. I consider a resolution approving the voluntary annexation of properties that are owned by the City of Oskaloosa, generally located north of Carbonado Road. The City of Oskaloosa has requested an 80/20 Iowa DOT matching grant for the reconstruction of the bridge on the access drive from 235th Street to the northeast wastewater treatment plant. The bridge spans Spring Creek and was inspected and rated by Calhoun Burns and Associates in 2014. And overall, the bridge was found to be in poor condition with an estimated remaining life of 2 years. The estimated total cost to reconstruct the bridge, $804,200. The city's 20% match has been budgeted for fiscal year 2016. It comes to $79,946, and into fiscal year 2017, and even $100,000. In order to qualify for the grant, the bridge has to be located within the city limits and be part of a public street. Currently, the Northeast Wastewater Treatment Plant and its access drive are not within the city limits. So therefore, the City of Oskaloosa has applied for the voluntary annexation of 3 city-owned parcels and the adjacent 235th Street right-of-way. The parcels contain the Northeast Wastewater Treatment Plant, the Stephen Memorial Animal Shelter, and the access drive from 235th Street. Proposed annexation is approximately 25.2 acres in total area, and after annexation, the bridge and the access drive will be dedicated as a public street. Upon approval, the annexation will be zoned RR, which is rural residential. The existing public facility land uses of a wastewater treatment plant and an animal shelter are permitted in an RR district, either conditionally or with a specific use permit. So as required by Iowa State Code, notice of this annexation was sent out to the public utilities, the Mahaska County Board of Supervisors, the Regional Planning Authority, and other cities within the 2 miles, namely Beacon and University Park. In addition, a public notice was published in the Oskaloosa Herald, and as of May 12, 2015, staff had not received objections to the annexation. Staff is recommending approval of the resolution approving the voluntary annexation of the properties. Do we have anyone here who would care to speak to this as we open the public hearing? And I'm assuming there were no other objections written after May 12 either. Okay. So I'll close the public hearing at this time. Do we have a motion supporting the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Versteeg.
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery.
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Van Zetten.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item B is a discussion, possible action on a report from the city manager regarding the feasibility of extending the sidewalks on Highway 92 West. At the May 4th, 2015 City Council meeting, City Council approved a motion directing the city manager to investigate the cost and feasibility associated with extending sidewalks on Highway 92, also known as A Avenue West, to the area in proximity to Walmart and the Gateway Church of the Nazarene. So tucked into our packet here are the preliminary cost estimates prepared by Garden Associates. The estimates are to extend sidewalks on the north side of Highway 92 from the Bethel Baptist Church to Walmart, extend sidewalks on the south side of Highway 92 from the east side of the Bank, Iowa property to the trailhead, and for a sidewalk on the south side of Highway 92 from the trailhead to Gateway Drive. Costs presented require further refinement if the City Council determines this project is now a priority for staff to complete. Staff is recommending the City Council receive this information and then direct staff to include the route and cost estimates in a recently adopted Oskaloosa Active Transportation Plan. Staff is recommending this portion of the sidewalk work be included as a Priority 2 project. For the folks who are watching and listening, I guess, the description of the one following the north side of A Avenue. So that would be the one that is going from Bethel Baptist Church over to Walmart. That would be $509,500 on the north side. On the south side, going from the east side of Bank, Iowa property over to the trailhead, then that would be $331,650. And then the south side from the trailhead going to Gateway Drive would be another $71,500. So to do both sides of the street would be a total of $912,650. So with that, I'll open it up. Do we have anyone who would like to make a motion as far as the information and directing staff to get further cost estimates? And for that matter, the recommendation is to make it a Priority 2 project.
Can I ask a question before the motion? If I don't understand something.
If you don't understand it.
On the Oskaloosa Active Transportation Plan, is that the bike, ride, and walk plan that we did 2 meetings ago?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then my next question is, what does Priority 2 mean?
Priority 2 is just an extension of existing sidewalks to another destination. So, Priority 1s would be filling in gaps. Priority 2 would be extension of existing, and then 3 would be, I think, brand new.
So priority really means nothing here. It's more of a classification.
Classification, sure, it's just what the plan said.
Okay. Well, I hear priority, I think. It's different.
So since we're talking, we're supposed to be, it doesn't mean that we'd have to do everything else that was in the original plan first. This is just the way it's categorized then.
Yes.
Otherwise, if we deemed that this was the most important sidewalk, I'm not saying it is, we could do that if we wanted to.
Right. Based upon that clarification, I would make the motion to move forward with the staff recommendation there in that last paragraph.
Okay. Any further discussion?
What is this last paragraph we're referring to here?
Staff recommends.
So
what does that mean? I mean, there's no motion in there. You can't just say there's a last paragraph.
Staff is recommending the City Council receive the information and then direct the staff to include route and cost estimates in the recently adopted Oskaloosa Active Transportation Plan. Then recommending the portion of sidewalk work be included as a Priority 2 project.
All right, so this would already be something that's been done.
Well, this adds it to the plan.
It puts it in the
This
plan.
adds to the plan, no more money spent, no more.
Right.
That's correct. All the items in that plan was money that we would still have to approve on a project-by-project basis. So we're not committing to spending any money at this point. We're getting it as part of the plan that can be evaluated with the other
Sidewalks.
several miles that we're talking about in that plan.
Gotcha.
Span over 50 years or whatever it's going to be.
So this just gets buried in that plan that we're never going to do anyway.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Did we get a second?
Make this a priority 1 on this
Well,
Walmart.
priority means
Did we
nothing
get a
here,
second?
I guess.
Well,
The priority is just a classification. I hear what you're saying.
Good.
I want to find out, there's 4 members here that support blue zones. 5 of them voted for this $6.2 million. I want to find out who's going to pay for it. I think it's going to be tough. All right, we made my people in 4th Ward lay sidewalks over there. I hope the city doesn't back out and say, well, because we're going to have to flip the bill for $500,000. That's different for us. Councilman Walling's brought it up several times. The rules are different for us than it is for everybody else. It goes back to the same thing that we keep talking about. What's it going to be? Are we going to play all by the same rules, or are we going to say, well, it's going to cost us money, so we're not going to do it? If it costs somebody at home, we'll make them do it.
So I think back to the original issue, we have a motion and a second regarding just putting this into the plan.
I call for the vote.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Walling?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Van Zetten?
Yes.
Versteg?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item C, is to consider a motion directing the city manager to enter into an agreement with J.C. Penney Corp. and Penn Central Mall, LLC, and the city of Oskaloosa. I'm going to read the first few paragraphs of this. During the January 6, 2014 council meeting, staff was authorized to complete a transaction between the city and 4G Properties, also known as Hardee's, for the purpose of buying the existing Hardee's location and selling a portion of the city-owned parking lot at Penn Central Mall. The deal points from the agreement between 4G and the city, they're included in the packet for reference. Since council approved the agreement with 4G Properties, the city and 4G Properties discovered that J.C. Penney has a legal easement over the city-owned property that was being acquired by 4G Hardee's. The legal easement provides J.C. Penney with the right to approve or deny any proposed alterations that might occur on the city-owned parking lots at Penn Central Mall, and that includes the sale and development of the new Hardee's. So staff spent several hours, numerous hours, attempting to negotiate with J.C. Penney and receive their approval for the development of the new Hardee's site that had been previously approved by the City Council. Negotiations between the parties have led to several iterations of a future parking lot design plan that incorporates the new Hardee's site and better facilitates the parking and pedestrian activity in the Penn Central Mall parking area. That's also included in the packet. Discussions have also led to the relocation and expansion of the current Penn Central Mall dynamic messaging board. I think I'll stop at this point. The interest expressed by Hardee's has since been withdrawn, and City Manager, would you care to comment on that?
Sure, Mayor, Council. As I shared with you last week, prior to this item being placed on the agenda, we thought we were good to go, and then a new development occurred where Hardee's just did not believe it was financially feasible for them to move forward. They've spent quite a bit of money to get to this point today, and I think they just saw the potential of additional costs to construct the sign and do everything that's associated with the site development as not being as feasible as they thought originally. So they've backed away from that. I wanted the item to stay on the agenda for a couple of reasons, and one is knowing that information, having that information in hand, I think it presents a couple of opportunities for us. So not all is lost from my perspective. We still have a building that is for sale in the form of Hardee's. It's boarded up, and it's not an attractive facility for our community. Then we still have the issue of what would happen with the existing, the future site of Hardee's, where they were going to go. Since we spent all this time talking to J.C. Penney's, all the parties involved, could we still do something with that site? So the question that I have for all of you tonight is, what is your thoughts on acquiring the Hardee's building? Do you want the city to step in some form or fashion and try to acquire it? Or do you want the market to take care of that? The second question I have for you, I guess it would be second part of the discussion, is I would like to see us do something with the lot next to KFC, to the east of KFC. And I would like to still talk to JCPenney's about tearing up that parking lot and putting in green space for the time being. Remove the liability associated with the concrete and that maintenance issue. And yes, I know I'm replacing it with a mowing issue. But I think that'll soften up the approaches along A Avenue, which has been, again, part of the discussion about improving the corridors. But then I also want to leave the door open for further development of that site. So essentially you're creating an outlot so that if something does come in the future, a business, and they want to build in that facility, we just kind of reopen the conversations with JCPenney's at that point in time and say, okay, here's the site, here's what we'd like to do, what are the terms this time? Those are the questions that I have for you. So again, what do we want to do with the existing site? And then 2, what would you like to do with the potential future site, which is currently our parking lot?
Can we put this in a motion? Or do we have to talk about it? Or
If you got a motion, yeah.
I'd make a motion to acquire Hardee's.
I'll second that.
I think it's probably, it looks atrocious right now.
Yep.
It's absolutely, it's almost something that we have to do. The other reason to it really is, I don't know about easement rights, but will easement rights transfer if we don't pick up that sale? In other words, somebody else comes in there and buys that property. Will they now have easement rights?
You mean the Hardee's property?
Yeah.
The current property is not really subject to the easement issues we were having dealing with the new proposed site.
It's going to be
Yeah.
that new one there to the west of the urban park. Well, all the parking lots, with the exception of the existing Hardee's site.
But you're talking about the other. Yeah, you're talking about
I'm talking about the other side.
No, he's talking about the other side.
Right. There are no legal easements on that
Okay.
that site. That's
Yeah.
Hardee's property. They own that. No restrictions on that
Right.
we're aware of at this point.
Okay.
But if we took the site east of KFC, made it green space, and then somebody comes along and wants to develop that site, whether it's Hardee's or anybody else, does that mean we have to start all over again with JCPenney's?
We have to start, yes, with all the parties involved in that.
Which basically is JCPenney's.
It's
The other
well,
parties, I don't think are really raising much of a fuss,
no, it would be the parties would be the Penn Central Mall,
right?
the city, Hy-Vee, and then whoever walks in the door for
Yeah,
development.
but the easement's on JCPenney though. So really, we're just dealing with JCPenney again, right? I mean,
How can we develop green space if they would have a say in what we're going to do with it now, right?
Right, that would be the idea, is I'd go back to JCPenney and say, okay, Hardee's is no longer moving forward. They didn't think it was financially feasible. You were demanding $20,000 because Hardee's was blocking your view, and you wanted to use that for new signs. Well, there's no building going in, so you can't make that claim. So we'd like to develop that into green space. And yes, we'd still have to have their approval, and yes, we'd have to have approval of the mall as well.
I'm a little confused. Are you talking about where the new Hardee's was going to go?
Yes.
And then, I thought we were worried about being short of parking.
I haven't raised that concern. Based on the negotiations, JCPenney's has shared that concern, but based on the amount of leasable space of the mall and the amount of parking that exists in the parking lots, we meet those numbers.
Okay, but the motion to buy the property that the existing Hardee's building is on doesn't have anything to do with this other discussion. Right. Right?
Not really, but,
So we need to separate it.
well, unless it goes together in your mind. I mean,
Well, it's a good, yeah, but
And I guess my preference would be, let's have an item in the future that talks about that so that we can let the public know that we're going to consider the acquisition. So I guess I didn't frame that up correctly. Because the item is just to have an agreement with them, and then we're going to move forward with acquisition. So I guess I would recommend that it be a two-step process, that we then say, okay, next meeting, we'd have an item that would do that.
Okay.
And then we as staff can further get into details about how we're going to make that happen as far as cash.
Yep. So then,
So what you're saying is you want me to rescind the motion?
yeah.
A motion directing city manager to pursue an item to acquire.
I will amend my motion to direct the city manager to acquire the Hardee's property.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay.
But does this motion include making a green space next to KFC?
You want
Just
to keep it
the,
separate?
okay. That's
Now-
what I'm sure.
As long as we're talking about this kind of stuff, though, and so we're, okay, yep, let's do this. Okay, any further discussion on the motion that stands right now directing the city manager to put an item out for purchase of the Hardee's?
Yeah, there was.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
And Zetton.
Yes.
Versteg.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That passes. Do we have anybody who wants to instruct the city manager to put an item on the agenda for next time regarding green space in the other property?
I'll motion that.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that?
My only, go with it, but I would say in that negotiation, hammer that out, so when we do that green space, that's clearly ready to go if we get somebody in there and say, listen, I don't want to have to go through this again, let's go through it one time and say, listen, all that green space, we're going to move forward with that. If we find somebody, you guys will be, prior to possibly, the person going in there, but kind of have that hammered out beforehand so we don't have to start again.
I don't think that would be possible.
Correct.
And the only reason I said I would like to do that as
me
well,
too.
I think that the parties involved are going to want to know what the development is before they. But if there's anything we could work out to the point you're making that
I
would
would
ease
say
it.
space-wise.
Yeah,
You know
something,
what, space-wise from, the square, say, okay, listen, we're talking about this square, so we're all good with it.
Right, and that's why I think it's important to still pursue those conversations. We've created that, we've split it off as a parcel. Why not try to at least get one roadblock down? And if they become familiar with it, then I think we're still going to have negotiations. There still could be issues, but I think it would make it easier.
Now the one piece that I guess makes me a little nervous is, JCPenney's wanted some things done with the existing parking lots. They may still want that even if we do it with green space, and so it may be putting us on the hook. Now, those parking lots need repaired, so we need to get a plan together to do that, but to get them to agree to anything, we may have to fix the existing parking lot per this plan, and that could be some significant dollars.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure we understand that as you work through this, that
And if they go down that road, I would say we get them to waive the easement rights for that. If they want us to go in and fix it now, get them to waive the easement rights on that green space. We can talk about a trade on that.
and that's just the only thing, is I want to make sure that we're aware that there are some potential impacts for the city if we don't deal with that issue.
No, you're going to have to deal with it sooner or later.
From the planning perspective, that's correct. We are going to have to deal with the parking lots, and so is this the kind of the piece that solidifies that we are in fact going to keep moving around in a counterclockwise flow and get to high V, because obviously that lot desperately needs additional work too. I guess from my perspective, it would be something that we wouldn't necessarily do immediately. And they're asking for timelines on those things, and it might be a year, it might be two, but I think that would give us enough breathing room as an organization, as a community, to figure out how do we fund it, is it really good for us at that point in time. So I think that's why I try to shoot for a little bit more time to develop that outlot.
So we've got a motion and a second to put an item on the next agenda regarding the green space. Roll call, please.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Van Zetten?
Yes.
Versteg?
Yes.
Walling?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Takes us to item D. Consider a motion to receive and file the city manager's project list for May of 2015. In the explanation, at least annually, the city manager and city council review the attached goals and tasks worksheet together to ensure staff and financial resources are being appropriately directed to the city council's liking. The project list has been updated for May 2015, is included for discussion among the city council and the city manager as needed. And so I guess, Mike, were you wanting to go through these item by item, or were you looking for overall comments from the council?
Mayor and Council, I was just simply putting that in there for your review and for the public's review. So if anyone in council has comments, I certainly would take those. Again, it's just sharing information.
Okay. Can we have a motion to receive and file the project list?
Second.
Okay. So, any comments?
Who sets these? Is this something you just came up with, Mike, or do you get to sit down with the mayor and go through this, or?
This is accumulated over a number of years.
Yes. So you decide what you're going to do.
Nope. I would say, again, a lot of the things that have been, well, I'll back up. There are certainly things that, yes, I do decide to do for the organization itself. But I'd say the bigger project items that are, some of them are included here, council directs me to do those things. And so categories like infrastructure is a priority. Well, that's something that, yes, I'm going to work on. And so therefore, things like this happen, and you see the projects here, we talk about funding. Those are also reviewed in the capital improvement program each year with the budget. So that's kind of how you see the infrastructure laid out. There might be items that I see as operationally that need to be addressed. I'm going to try to get them done. If they fit within the general categories of what you want to do and are within my purview as the city manager, I'm going to do them.
Are they placed in any order of importance, just off ties?
I just try to get them as close to alphabetical as possible.
I'm going to show my ignorance here. After O, what did the little asterisks? Why didn't we go on with numbers?
Those are things that I have not, actually, we're not working on. They've just been items that I think would be important for us to address as an organization, but we haven't necessarily dedicated any staff.
Okay, I just was curious. Thank you.
Well, you have item A under fiscal and human resource management. You have the franchise fee on there. What are you saying about that franchise? Is that something that is on your list? Was it on your list and you're just crossing it off? What are we doing?
I think it's something that's been discussed over the past couple, well, since it was increased in 2011. And so as recent as 2014, it was discussed again. So that's the only reason that's on there. It's a funding source that is often used to pay for, well, right now it's used to pay for infrastructure. So I think it's an important item that we just keep out there so that everybody's aware of it.
But at the present time, there's no activity.
No, there's no activity. It's just we're receiving that and we're using it for the approved uses, which right now is transportation.
Like this, we're not working on these currently. Yeah, I agree. I was really shocked by this.
Yeah.
$8 million.
Any other comments?
Well, we've got single hauler contract and update codes. That's under public safety and awareness. I mean, this is a project list. It says it's a project list.
Where are you, Jason?
Last page. Last page, it's under public safety and
gotcha.
awareness. It's got a double asterisk on there, so I don't know what that means, Mike.
We're not working on it at this point in time.
So
It's
it
something that
was on the list, we talked about it, and then it's off the list.
Yeah, from my perspective, the single hauler helps us address, again, raising standards within the community, providing consistent services within the community, potentially taking us out of something like that we do, which is the spring cleanup. So I do think it's one of those projects that we should continue to discuss in the future. And also, as we saw tonight, setting the public hearing for some of those properties that don't have trash service, and then we have to go in and remove piles of garbage and then assess it to their property taxes.
Would it be fair to say, Mike, that if it's got a double asterisk on it, you still feel from your professional perspective, we should keep it on the list, but until it gets assigned a letter, that's when council has made it a priority for you and your staff to work on?
That's correct.
I mean, that's where I'm getting thrown off on this franchise fee. I don't see it as a priority. I also don't see a comprehensive plan on here. I mean, we don't have much of anything going on. I don't know what happened to the comprehensive plan. I know we talked about it.
It's over here.
Yeah.
Comprehensive plan update, it's asterisk.
It's asterisk. I mean, that's, here's where I'm at, and this is where I was going with this before. Who sets this stuff? And if it's you, or if now's the time to talk about this, or if this is a work sessions item where we say, I think we need to get some of this stuff back on there. I mean, as you said, you know, the asterisks are off your list at the moment. I disagree with the comprehensive plan being off your list.
So one of the things that I did specifically with that item is that while it's still off on the double asterisk list, there are elements of things that we're doing today that would go into that comprehensive plan update. So kind of getting around us spending $100,000 for an update and trying to pick off amendments. So the active transportation plan, that would be something that would be included in the comprehensive plan review. Well, we did that on our own. So that could in fact be incorporated in the comprehensive plan. The Northwest planning study that I applied to the DOT for grant funding at the last meeting, that would be something that would be incorporated into the comprehensive plan as an amendment. So I'm trying to chip away things
You're saying
kind
that
of
the plan
small
would
as
be
we can,
redundant.
as we have time to do them, because if we went into a comprehensive plan update right now, it would send all of our staff into a different direction. And so that's also what we're trying to do here, is balance our resources, our human resources. So that's the way I've been trying to pick it off a little bit at a time. Still get the comprehensive plan update.
I just have a tough time. I'm looking at community planning, I'm looking at blue zones, and I'm looking at blue zones is listed over here as a C item, and it's a priority, and our comprehensive plan is double asterisk and off the list. I've talked about this several times. Our priorities are absolutely backwards.
Well, the council voted 4-3.
I understand what the council voted for. I'm just making a point.
Further comments? Okay, I think the motion is to receive and file. Roll call, please.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Van Zetten?
No.
Versteg?
Yes.
Walling?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Caligari?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Taking us to item 7, reports from city staff, city manager.
None, sir.
You sure?
Oh, wait. Yes, sir. All right. The property next to Cork and Bottle Liquor, the city acquired that property as part of an A Avenue corridor improvement program. We're into that property for about $75,000. That includes the acquisition and asbestos testing and demolition. We did receive an offer for $30,000 for that property, and with a very loose offer to develop it into a parking lot or future development. Something that I would say it's worth us entertaining. However, I do think there needs to be additional work put into that. I guess I'm just putting it out there as an FYI. I think I ought to come to you with an item that would tell me to take action to put this thing out for bids, basically. We could receive offers and be very public about that. In that item, I'd also recommend that we would have performance metrics associated with the conveyance of that land. So we would expect it to develop within X period of time. We'd expect it to look like this. We'd expect it to follow our development process, things like that. So I'm just bringing it to your attention to say that we've received it. Not necessarily asking for any action on it, but if you have any reactions, that would be great to hear one-on-one or at a future time.
That property's zoned commercial, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Urban corridor, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. So
Are you looking for comment now?
You can, or you can certainly
I
talk to me.
I wouldn't be in favor of it right now, just given what we just talked about with Artis. I would say we need to sit tight until you figure out your green space plan and before we even think about doing anything.
And since it's on the corridor, and that's why we purchased it, we want to be more involved, might be the word, about what goes there.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I think we'd want to put specifically what and when and how we expect it to develop. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Amy, anything?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, city attorney, David, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, moving on then. Item 8, this is for city council input. Let's start with you, Joe. Anything?
Nothing.
Darren?
No.
Sally?
Nothing.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Tom?
Well, I might drag Aaron into this, but the 911 committee meeting is meeting again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and they've come up with a 2080 agreement to see if everybody is willing to adopt that 2080 agreement and send it out to all the townships that have to vote on it. But, and I don't know which way our committee's going. Aaron's, I think, I won't speak for you, but you can.
No, we already accepted it.
The 2080 agreement,
Right.
Was that this week?
I don't remember exactly what day it was.
Well, Jamie just got
No,
it.
not the 2080 agreement. We said to go through with.
Yeah, no, we
Right.
both said that to
Right.
continue on looking at it, but now there's a 2080 agreement here
Right.
to look
We haven't
at.
got to that point
Okay,
yet.
so we're a step ahead if we meet
Right.
tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Jason?
Just real quick, I heard vendors are having to get fingerprinted to put up, to get a permit from City Hall. Is that true? You know anything about this?
Yes, licensing transient merchants when they go door to door, or peddler's license when they go door to door. On the application, you do have to have police approval. So they go over to the police department and get approval.
Does that
And
include farmer's market?
Farmers market is exempt in the city code. There are certain exemptions. If you're associated with the chamber, if it's a chamber-sponsored event, that's different. If you're just selling your own stuff that you've grown in your own garden, farmers, that's exempt. Farmers market's exempt, but somebody coming from out of town or just somebody on their own that doesn't fall under an exemption under the city code is required to do those things.
What required us to get the fingerprint from these people that come from outside versus inside?
It's not necessarily outside, if I said that, I'm sorry. It could be somebody inside the city as well.
But there's exempt, I mean, this makes no sense to me. I mean,
The code is, it's been a code that's been that way for a long time. I don't know
okay, so we
where-
got a
it's-
code problem is what we got.
I don't know.
We got a code
if
that
you're-
doesn't make sense.
I think we did change that, did we not? In the past couple of years to deal with the situation with chamber activities and with farmers market. It
Chamber's
seems to
always
me
been
like we did.
exempt. The chamber's been exempt, and so's farmers market. There are a few exemptions under there.
So do they do a background check?
No, because they're exempt from.
Because they're nice guys and we know them, so they don't need to be checked, right?
I'm just following the code when they
Okay,
come in.
okay. Well, I guess we only got one code that needs fixed, huh? All right, thank you.
Okay, I don't have anything to add. Moving on through the agenda is to consider holding a closed session under Iowa Code Section 21.5.1.I to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that individual requests a closed session and reconvene in open session to consider approval of a contract. City Manager Mike Schrock has been employed by the city since June 15 of 2009, so this is the time to do the annual evaluation of him. Do we have a motion to hold the closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Benzett,
Yes.
Versteeg,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Okay, that passes, so we're going to go into closed session at this time. And we'll ask the audience to please leave for now. Okay, we're back in open session. The performance of the city manager has been concluded. In general, it sums down to he's doing a job performance in excess of expectations. And so I'm looking for a motion to adjust his salary up to $125,000 a year and also to authorize the payment of a performance bonus of $4,000. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Versteeg,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Benzett.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Having no other business before us, do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.